guys? I'm Tyler. Majority of you guys probably already know me. But if you guys don't know me, I have the pleasure. Sorry. And it's pretty emotional. I didn't even think it would hit me right here. But I'm gonna get to the story. You guys don't have to excuse me for the tears. But I had the pleasure of being part of the Drury family. My mother's Nina. Crazy. So just to get to it, the only verse I kind of want you guys just to, not the only verse you guys should remember, but the verse that helped me and brought to life, that changed my life. It's right there, right? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believed in him should not perish and have everlasting life. And I'm gonna come back to that verse a little bit down the story, but if you guys, just for the sake of time, if you guys kind of want to know about my life, you guys can look at Luke 15. You can look at the prodigal son. Shoot, as you can see, my family came to church. I came to church but wasn't really present. I was mainly focused on trying to play sports. And it's crazy when I think about that my life was tied so much to making it to the NFL, that, shoot, the one thing as a lot of athletes know, like, we don't understand that injuries occur. And it's such a small thing, and when injuries occur, obviously it's kind of hard to bounce back. But I used to tie my whole identity to that. And so once that was taken away, I had to find a new identity. Obviously I didn't want to, as a human being, we always have this void. And I truly believe it's only the void that God can fill, but me, I didn't want God. So I used to hear how people act. I said, I don't want that. I need to live my own life, just like the prodigal son. So what I started doing, after football, after I said I was done with football, I started partying every weekend. And what comes with partying comes with, as you can tell in the prodigal son, comes reckless behavior. And I indulged in quite a bit of it. I would go out, I would drink, and then I'll drive home. Majority of the time, I would not know how I got home, but I would just, the people I was hanging out with, just like in the prodigal son, it's crazy on how the Bible has these stories to foretell where your life can go. They would say, like, oh man, like, Tyler, man, you're the best drunk driver. But obviously they're saying that because they didn't want to drive. And then not only that, when I was going out with these friends, they would hang out with me because I would work hard all the way through the week, and then I'll spend my whole paycheck on that just so I can go out and have fun. So coming with this reckless behavior, I got a DUI in 2011 when I was the age of 21. Obviously that should have been a tall tale sign of where my life is going, but I got pulled away a block from my house. So I said, nah, the cop, you're wrong. I drove home safe. You just pulled me just a block away, so I didn't pay attention. So I keep continuing in this reckless behavior, and I'm trying to get to the story. So I'm not coming to church. I disregard my family. Like, you can ask my mother's, barely any pictures of me. I wanted to be out there with the world. I wanted to live my life. And obviously it catches up, because I was so disappointed with my life. I go out one night, I go out to Pasadena, and do the same thing I always do. Take 5 shots, drink, expect to have a good time. Even though I don't remember it, I just like when people tell me the next day, like, hey, you got a great time, man. It was so fun. I don't remember any of it, but I just know that I'm being fun for it. I'm just having fun. And this particular night, August 9th, 2014, and it's crazy. Shoot. My mom texted me that night, and she said, don't drink it drunk, Ty. And she's like, I'm praying for you. And I looked at the phone, I threw it in the back of my car. I said, man, keep your prayers. I remember saying that, and I don't make it home that night. And so I go, and this is according to the report. I don't remember the majority of that night. Like I said, I was a blackout drunk. I would drink 5 shots so I can make sure I get that feeling. I'm not drinking the taste or anything. I can't stand the taste. I just wanted that feeling. I wanted that feeling of of being a failure, of not making what I wanted to go away. And so on August 9, 2014, in the early morning, they said I drove from Pasadena all the way to Irwindale McDonald's. And they said I fell asleep at the drive-thru. And supposedly they said my buddy got out the car and the guy behind me, and they knocked on the door. And I speed off. And I just drive away, and I get on the off-ramp, heading the wrong way. I'm heading eastbound on a freeway that's supposed to be going west on 210. And I collide with another car, and I remember someone opened up the door, and I was shocked. And I don't remember much after this part, but I know I took off. And so, and a lot of people say, like, you don't remember it, like, and how do you know that you took off? There was a time, and like I said, I'm doing it for the sake of time, my grandfather came and picked me up. I crashed my car, and I took off running. Remember that, Papa D? And he picked me up. The car was flipped over, the whole thing. Still didn't learn that I got picked up. I called him, and he picked me up, and she had left the car at the scene. So I knew I would have done that. And so I make it to my house, and the cops pull up, lights going on, and I remember they get me, I think I opened up the garage, right, Mom? And I remember the cops get me, and they put me up, and I'm like, and I don't know what's happening. I don't know if they told my mom anything, but I remember my mom taking the chain I had, and I'm seeing her crying. I'm like, why is she crying? I said, it can't be that bad. And so they take me to the hospital, and I have a cut right here, a laceration from the car crash. And I remember I was coming down from my intoxication, and I remember I just told them it was actually a woman I remembered, and they were gonna stitch it up, and I was like, nah, just blew it up, I'm good. I'm still handcuffed, and she's looking at me, she's like, what did you do? And I was like, nothing. And I actually asked her, I said, hey, can I get your number? I'm gonna probably be out this night, and I'm gonna go hang out with you. And the crazy thing about it, she gave it to me. So I'm thinking everything's good. She was like, all right. She was like, give me your number. I'm like, all right, look, take my number down. I'm gonna be out tonight. And I asked the officer, I said, hey, I'm gonna be out. He was like, yeah. And so I'm not thinking nothing's happened. I'm just thinking it's a DUI. I'm like, dang, I just gotta bounce back from this. And so they take me to the precinct in Baldwin Park, and they sit me down. They ask me, hey, what'd you do that night? I said, they said, did you drink? I said, yeah, I just had like a couple, man. They're like, dang, like how much do you drink? I said, a decent amount. And I was like, hey, like when am I gonna go? And then they're like, you're not going nowhere. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, man, you killed someone. They're like, you didn't know? And I was like, and so I just shut down. I couldn't process that. I said, man, a night for me just to go have fun ended in someone else losing their life? I said, nah, that can't be. And then when you go into LA County Jail, they give you a bail. And my bail said $1 million. I was just looking at that number, I'm like, what does this mean? And so when I go in there, I'm trying to keep it a little bit more PG rated. They tell you like, hey, take everything off, put it in the bag. I'm like, what is this? Everyone starts taking everything off, and they yell at me, hey, take everything off. I'm like, huh? And the only thing they give me back is a little ticket. So we're just standing there with nothing, stripped down. And then the people around me like, man, like, what are you here for? What are you here for? They're saying, oh, theft, probably. I'm just there like, what are you here for? I said, a DUI. And then they look at my thing. Obviously, these people been incarcerated. They said, shoot, your bail's $1 million. Later, what you do? You kill someone? And I'm just like, and I couldn't process it. And it took me a whole day for me to actually, like, after they processed me, and the process is probably one of the longest things I would always remember it. And then it took them 2 days for them to actually put me in a cell. And when that whole time I'm just thinking, I'm like, and you really messed up, Ty. And this time you really messed up. And I'm sitting in these cells and I'm just looking and I said, hey, I said, whatever they're saying, it must be true. I said, man, someone lost their life because of me. And in that moment, I started just thinking, I'm like, all right, I can't run from the situation. I'm trying to go back to what I used to. Then I was like, you know what? I gotta be a life for life. That's the right thing to do. The right life for life. So once I came up with that, I believe it was on Sunday, I started thinking that on Monday, I started thinking about how I'm gonna take my life. Because shoot, if I took someone's life off of that, the only right thing to do is take my own. And so when I'm figuring out, I'm looking at it, I said, dang, I could jump off the top bunk and try to hit the sink and break my neck. Or I can figure out something. So I started watching the guards and seeing what they were doing. And these are some long cells, some long hallways, and they have horizontal bars and they have vertical bars. They have two horizontal bars, and just like how you guys kind of imagine, dirty, stinky, horrible, everyone yelling, and they give you just a sheet and some shoes and a shirt and some boxers. So I said, all right, I can rip this sheet and I can hang. I said, now be the right thing. Like after they do their walk, I can tie around my neck and I'll hang. And so obviously it's taking me some time to process it. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. So this is August 11th, this is Monday. Early in the morning on August 12th, Thompson, you gotta go to court. I'm like, court? I was like, for what? They're like, you gotta go to court. And they take me to Pomona, and still in my head, I already made this decision that I'm gonna take my life today. Just because after what happened, that's the only right thing to do. Listen to all the little things, not listening to God. And the crazy thing about it, I wasn't expecting my family. I didn't speak to my family the whole time. I think the only person I spoke to was my brother. And I go into the courtroom. There's a sound I would never forget, still to this day. And it's a mother who lost her son. And I remember her crying. And then it hits me even worse, like, dang, Ty, like, what did you do? Like, you took something, like, that can't ever be repaid. And I kept my head down the majority of the time. And when I'm leaving, I look up, and I see my family. And they're saying, we're here for you. We're still here. And that touched me, but, excuse me, I'm still gonna go through what I said I was gonna do. I'm gonna take my life. It's the right thing to do. So I get back, I didn't have a cellie at the time. I wait for him to guard the walk. I rip the sheet, I braid a rope. I remember I tie it 3 times on the upper horizontal and I pull it like this. And so I grab it and I put it around my neck, and I grab it. And I said, all right, I'm gonna put my feet on the Lord, horizontal, I'm just gonna lean forward like this. And I do. And as I'm hanging there, obviously, it's not like how we would think in the movies or anything. You think it happens quick, it does not. Or in my mind, it didn't. But I remember when I started seeing the black come in. Obviously, it's getting the oxygen's getting cut off of my brain. And I just said, hold on a little bit longer, Tyler. You dying is gonna make everyone else's life way better, because all you do is bring pain. So just hold on a little bit longer. And just as I'm getting to that point, I'm telling myself, like, hold it, man, you're there. It hurts, but hold it. I said, soon you won't feel nothing no more. The rope I braided snaps. I like flat on this dirty old floor. And I look up and I don't know who to talk to. And I look at it, I remember I go like this. I can't even kill myself. I said, my life, man, And in that moment right there, and it has, like I said, it had to be God because he was with me the whole time. I was able to realize that everything that happened in my life was my fault. That it was my fault. And that no matter what I do, this is the result. So I need something. I need help. So, only verse, and I'm coming back to this verse, the only verse I knew, John 3:16, and it popped in my head, and it said, "For God so loved Tyler, broken, causing all this, at his worst, that he gave his only begotten son, that Tyler just believed, he should not perish but have everlasting life." And I said, "Damn." I said, "God, this is what you want?" I said, "You have it." I said, "Man," I said, "You have everything from me." And when that happened, and I understood why he did what he did, it was a relief. And I accepted Christ. I was like, man, this is what I was missing the whole time. That void that I kept on trying to fill, this is what I needed. But, as you guys can tell, actually the story doesn't end after you accept Christ. It's a crazy thing, and the Bible is amazing, has amazing things. So, obviously I accept Christ, my life has changed. I have this joy that I'm able to walk around in this place and I have a smile. But you guys, as you guys can tell, shoot, I was gone for 9 years. This is in the first year. It's 3 days in. I have 2 more years at the county jail. And so I'm going around just serving God, learning as much as I possibly can, picking up every positive book that I can get my hands on, reading the Bible daily, sharing with others. And I'm trying to cut to not to the case, but 2 years in there, I was around. I seen everything that you could possibly probably think happens in prison, but I was able to just talk to individuals and share them just the stuff that's bringing me joy in this place of filled with darkness. And it went to here comes the sentencing part. This is 2016, June 3rd, 2016. But a week before that, we were just there discussing like, hey, you're gonna go to trial. This is what can happen. So I'm gonna try to get a deal. So as a person, I'm serving God for 2 years, or not 2 years, close to 16 months, and I'm like, God, just you know my heart, man. I changed. Just help me. I'm still thinking it. So my mom, bless her soul, I had a lawyer named Alex. I don't like to talk about him, but he was the worst lawyer ever. My mom was like, it's a sign, he's gonna help you. That's God. And so he comes for the deal, and I already came up in my head. I said, I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I know I did it. And so I said, God, just little favor, please. And they come and they call me in. I'm praying the whole way on the walk towards there. He pops up on the screen. I smile. He looks at me. I was like, oh shoot, what is this? And he was like, oh, the only deal they're gonna give you is 15 to life. And I was like, wait, 15 to life? And if you guys know anything about the prison system, that's the third worst sentence you can get. First one is life without the possibility of parole. Next is first degree murder, 25 to life. And then 15 to life. When they put life at the end of it, it doesn't mean you can come home after 15 years. It means that you have to go in front of a parole board and they have to deem you worthy to come back to society. And usually the only way you can do that is not getting in trouble, but it's hard not to get in trouble because you run with races. And if one person messes up, you all mess up. So that's why they say it's impossible for someone to come home from a life. And I'm just like, nah, this can't be right. And so he was like, just take some time and walk back. And I said, God, what is this? I'm serving you 2 years. I accept your son. Everything's good. You still have me here, but now I get the worst sentence. And I couldn't understand it at the moment. By the time I walked to my bed, I said, man, I'm guilty. I know what I did. And I said, I'll accept the consequences. And it comes down to these points. Like I said, I'm gonna refer right back to the Bible. It's just how much you really trust God. How much you trust him on your journey. to know that he's guiding me every step of the way. I have the worst sentence that a person can get. The third worst. How is that God? But I knew what was right, and I knew I had to take it. And so, crazy, I'm so baffled that I'm here. June 3rd comes, I tell my family, I'm gonna take 15 to life. I'm not gonna fight the charges that are against me. I go in there, I see this is the third time I've seen the family, and I sign my plea agreement for the sentence that I'm gonna be serving, and I see the family there, and after everything is said and done, I knew I couldn't go another second without apologizing. And me, I always feel like it's the Holy Spirit that guides us. I remember I asked my Lord, I said, can I say something to the family real quick? He's like, no, don't do nothing. And I said, I'm sorry, but I can't even hold it back no more. So after I signed everything, I look up to the mother, and I told her, I'm sorry. I said, I'm sorry. I took your son. I said, I wish I'll do anything to switch places. And obviously, there's a lot more sorries that they take me in. I apologized to the bailiff and I apologized to the judge, but I said I couldn't go on another second without apologizing. And he said, no, I respect you. He said, no, a lot of people will do it. So fast tracking 3 weeks later, the family was able to get up and speak, and I believe that stuff's set in motion by the Holy Spirit guiding you and listen to the Holy Spirit to jump when he tells you to jump. It'll allow the mother to come up and say something that she didn't have to. Still doesn't have to. But she was able to say that, I forgive you, Tyler. You're taking something that I can't ever replace. And that stuff touched me. So, going on, this is still my journey. I'm still serving God. But now I got a 15 life sentence. So everyone that thinks it's all nice and flowery after you accept Christ, it's not. But the one thing I can tell you is I have this joy that no one can take. So when I'm heading into, if we can read it real quick, Psalms 23. And this is and it's crazy because I'm going to a place where everyone's talking about, man, they kill every day, and I have the third worst charge, so I know I'm going to the worst place they can possibly send a person. But in Psalms 23, talks about it. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me besides quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right path for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valleys, valley of death. And when I was going to prison and I seen it, I said, oh, how am I going to get out of here? I got 15 to life. How in the world am I going to get out of here without getting in trouble? There's no way. But I'm trusting God. He said, I will feel no evil, for you are with me, and your rod and your staff can comfort me. So while I'm going to prison, I remember that long drive. Dang, Mom and Grandma. You guys going all the way up there. It's in the middle of nowhere. I still have this joy, but the journey's not over. And I'm telling you, I go back to I was going back to the stories of Exodus. That was a story that brought me a lot of comfort. Because the Jews, they prayed to get delivered. Prayed to get delivered from slavery. Then when they got delivered, they're like, what is this? Oh, no, we eating nasty and in prison, nasty cockroaches in your milk. They say, oh, that just adds flavor. And I'm like, how am I going to survive this? But there's two people that I always attach myself to in the Exodus story. And I'm sorry to kind of give you guys a lot, but it was Joshua and Caleb. And they were the only ones of that generation that were able to see the promised land. And I said, I got to hold on to what they had. And what they held on to is the promises that God gave them to glorify God. And so when I held on to those things, I said, I got to hold on to it. I said, I know this journey is going to be hard. Yeah. I don't want to go through it. Trust me, there's a lot of things that you're not going to want to go through. But God has you. Got you. He's holding my hand. I'm like, God, I don't want to walk in this place. I got you, Tyler. Come on. Sometimes I'll try to hold back a little bit. I'm like, this one can't be true. I can't go through here. I got you, Tyler. And you guys have to imagine, I'm not from no gang. So I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. But the whole time I was there, I'm telling you, and staying into the word was key, because I was able to find stories that would help me get through. Obviously, I'm walking in there, I'm treating everyone how I would want to be treated. Not only that, I want to share God's love to them. And so the guards would come up and say, like, oh, like, what are you in here for? And I'll tell them my crime, and they're like, they're like, but yeah, you don't look like it. So we're gonna give you this position. We're gonna let you. When I was in reception, that's just the place before you go to the actual prison. They said, all right, we're gonna allow you to bring the foods to all the other inmates, and you probably get like an extra lunch at the end of the day. And so I'm trying to break this down as quick as possible. Where I was at, they have a lot of things segregated according to your crime. They'll give you a number of points. The higher your points, the more dangerous they say you are, meaning your crime. The lower your points, the lesser your crime was. So like if you had like a theft, you'll be on like a level 1, level 2, murder or attempted murder, level 4, level 3. And so obviously because of my charge, I was around these people that were killers. And when you're in a place where you don't see that much hope, you can really see the animal side come out of people. And so these people didn't care about hurting someone else. You take 2 cents from them, they'll take your life. And I'm seeing this stuff the second week I'm there, pushing a cart, someone lose their life over something smooth, and I'm just like, how am I really gonna get through this, God? I'll go back to my cell. I was like, God, how am I gonna get through this? I said, man, I said, not only that, I said, I can't get in trouble. I said, for me to even go home. But I stayed true to his word, kept on doing what I was doing, and I came up with some plans that I felt would help me become a little bit better. So I just said, hey, I'm trying to stay on the positive track. In prison, there's not that many, so I'm gonna try to earn my education. It's like, God, if there's any possible way, allow me to earn my bachelor's. I understand we can earn an AA for free, but I need to try to earn my bachelor's. And so going through this, like I said, I was in favor with the guards. They'll kind of give me a little bit of leeway. And then I see they have counselors for you, and they allow you to pick where you want to go. There's 35 prisons, and I was praying that I didn't go all the way up north to the top of California because I wanted to stay close to my family. And the 2 choices I was able to get is like the one in San Diego or the one in San Luis Obispo. But it's not guaranteed that you go there. And so I'm praying for that. And then I just come to it. I say, God, no matter what happens, just choose the right place or where I'm supposed to be. And I was lucky to get sent to San Diego. And this is the year 2016 to 2018. And at this point, I'd given all hope of thinking about I'm coming home. I just asked God just to use me as best as he possibly could, because I just thought this was the life that he chose for me. And rightfully, I deserve it. Because of what I did. This is the punishment that I got. So this is all I thought. I was like, God, just use me to the fullest in prison. Allow me to be the light, to share your son's light, to share the true light with other individuals. So I get sent to San Diego, and immediately I try to find other people that are in the Christian faith. And I started talking to them and started seeing it. And then there was some characteristics that they I guess they had that people in prison did not like. They didn't like someone coming up and telling them what to do. And so me, I was lucky enough. I was never like that. I was always cool with everyone I see. And so that opened up a lot of doors. Like I said, when I was in San Diego, it's crazy. I met older people with no Sirhan. I met the Menendez brothers, or the youngest one. I met a lot of people that did some crazy things, but when you talk to them, I was able to see them through the lens that God saw me. That if they're still breathing, they deserve that opportunity. There's still a reason why they're still here. And so when I was in these places, the best way to say it, man, sometimes people don't want to see you preach the word of God. They want to see you live it. And so they will watch every single day, watch every single move that you make. And I remember one person that came up to me and said, "Tyler, you always smile." And I was like, I said, "Yeah." And then he was like, "Why do you always smile?" He said, "It's annoying sometimes." And I said, it made me smile again. I was like, "I'm about that." And so I told him, I said, "I have this joy." And he was like, "What joy is that, man? You're in prison." He was like, "And then what's your sentence?" It's like, and then one thing I didn't do though, one thing I never did was I never attached the life sentence to me. I never said that. I said, "I'm here for 15 years. This is what I have to do. I was here for 15 years. I never said life because I just never wanted to attach that." And he was like, "Man, you got a long time." He was like, "How could you just be happy in this crazy old place? How could you smile in this place?" And I said, "Man, I'm gonna tell you one thing," and I was like, "I'm not pushing it on you." I said, I finally had joy." And he was just like, "Joy?" He was like, "Ain't no joy here." And like, man, he was like, "What, you have drugs?" He's like, "You don't look like you're on drugs." Because that's how they did. And I can relate because obviously I try to get joy through alcohol. And I was like, "No." And they're like, "All right, what?" And so I told him, I said, "I Christ." He said, "Man, these people are all fake." He said, "I had one guy come to my cell and they asked for some drugs the other day, and he's the one leading the service." I was like, yeah. I said, "It probably does." He was like, "So don't tell me that." And I said, "Nah, really, that's what it is." I was like, "Man, I said I took someone's life, and I said I'm grateful to be here, but not only that, I said I have Christ." And so he was like, "All right, Tyler." I continued to smile. I continue to like, and I always felt like even when my family came, they always used to ask like, "Oh, how's it in here?" I would always, except for my mom, sometimes she'll get it. I would always try to smile in front of them. Obviously, it's hard. Shoot, in the prison's the place where you're around other people, but you feel like you're alone. And that's what also scared me. In that when I was talking to people, and still to this day, I'm very careful because I understand that they go to hell. A lot of people don't know what it feels like to not have hope. And it's one of the scariest feelings I've ever felt. Being in a place where you know there's no chance of coming back. And people think it's not the physical part that's going to get you. It's going to be your mind. So if you don't accept his son, it's a place where it's a torture, where you just alone with your thoughts. And those things eat you alive at night. It eats you alive. And so since I know I can relate to that thing, and obviously not to the extent of where people go, because there's no hope. Once you die, if you don't have Christ, it's over. There's no chance at parole, no chance at anything. There's just, you're going to be with your thoughts, and it's going to kill you. Like, "Oh, I should have done this. Oh, I wish I could have done this. I wish I could have done this." And then you just have to continue to keep on going and living with those things. And so when I talk to people, I always try to keep that in fact. And I always ask God, like, "Hey, just use me in the right way where you can show your son, man. Just use me in the right way where you can just show your love." And the best way that I was able to do it was, like I said, just smiling. And it opened up so many doors. And not only that, obviously there's different races and you can't do certain things. But if I seen someone from a different race, I would treat him like he's my brother, because he is. And obviously sometimes he would come back and tell me that, or they would come back and tell me that they got in trouble for interacting. But I wouldn't care because I understood the bigger picture. And so I was in Donovan for 2 years. I was never expecting to come home. And here's how God's working. There's a law that passes, I believe, the end of 2017, talking about a youth offender. It's a bill, assembly bill, to be honest. And it's just saying like, hey, if you committed your crime under 25, your mind wasn't fully developed, so we'll be able to, you're gonna get charged as a youth. It'll kind of, you can now earn stuff, they call it milestones. It means that if you do something good in prison, like earning your degrees or going to school, we can take off a week or two or 6 months for each degree that you earn. And I was already on that path because I already promised myself that, and Justin's the individual that lost his life, that I was gonna better myself every single day. And so at this time I was working towards my associates, and then obviously being good in San Diego, not getting in trouble, my points dropped. And then I ended up getting the opportunity to go to a level 2 with the lesser levels. The people who did the smaller crimes are people that have been down a long time, that haven't gotten in trouble. And so when the time comes, I'm thinking about all the places I wanted to go. I was like, dang, I don't want to go far. I'm hoping I said, but if I'm going to go far, I want to go to San Quentin. I know San Quentin's the prison that a lot of people know, but that's probably the best prison that an individual can go to. It's not bad on how people describe it. And so when my time came up, I seen people going to San Quentin, so I was like, I told my mom, I said, hey, I might go to San Quentin, but it's good. Don't worry. Then I get some endorsement papers telling me where I'm going, and the devil comes and tries to work again. And I'm going to Tehachapi, CCI, California Correctional Institute. I'm like, where is this? And so I get the paper. It was not part of my thing. I wanted to go to Chino or San Quentin. I run immediately to our counselor and I said, what is this? Like, where am I going? They're like, Tehachapi. I'm like, where is that? Like, oh no. I said, you made a mistake. I said, these two. And then I'm like, and then they're like, no, you're going. I said, well, like, where is it? They're like, in Tehachapi, the city of Fort Weathers. I was like, Fort Weathers. I said, no, you have to understand, I have family that come and see me. I'm doing this sad story. Obviously, myself is seeking in, not trusting God. Shoot, right? You can go right there again, Psalms 23. So my old self is creeping in. I'm like, no, look, you guys just got to put me over here, man. It's better. I had my mom call up. I think she write a letter. I had her call, what's his name? What's his name? Ken Bell. Say, call him up. Make sure I'm going to Chino or San Quentin. I can't go to these places. So they take you anyways, no matter what. But I go back in my cell and I'm like, all right, God, like, you're in control. And I had a wonderful support network that would always tell me that God's in control. And I'm like, all right, I made it, 4 years in. 4 years in, I can do. Woo, 9 more? No, 11 more. But I'm getting time knocked off. And so my parole date is getting pushed closer. So I get shipped up to Tehachapi. And on the drive there, my mom's, bless her soul again, I don't know how you did it, Mom. She's like, you're gonna be all right. I'm like, she's lying. And I missed a part too. She told me when I got sentenced, she's like, oh, that's not that long. I said, Mom, what do you not understand? I said, I'm gonna be here for 15 hours. I said, how am I gonna make it out of here? But my mom always kept her spirits. And so on my way going up to the California Correctional Institution, all I'm doing from the drive from San Diego, you take the 15 until it's like another freeway, all the back roads, and so you don't see nothing. And I said, God, why? I said, why me? I said, why are you sending me here? I said, you had to make a mistake. And I'm counting down all the minutes of how long it's gonna take for my family. I said, and then once I got there, you're going inside like a big old bowl, desert, you seen windmills. I said, it's over. I said, they never gonna see me now. I said, God, the one thing that was helping me get through this, and I thought I could get through, was like, see my family. I said, they're not gonna come see me. It's horrible here. But once again, I'm just leaning on my own understanding, not God's. God's picture is way bigger than mine. And so when I get there, it happened to be the biggest blessing to my life. And not only that, I met a lot of individuals that were amazing and that were lost, but they needed to see something. God needed to use me to show them something. So I go to this place, and I thought I wasn't going to get no love or any visits, which was a lie. Obviously, the devil was telling me another lie. And then I get right to it. I continue on trying to better myself. I try to surround myself around positive people. And I come across the education department. At this time, I had my associate's degree, and I said, hey, I was like, I finished my associates and I want my bachelor's. I was like, how would I do that? And they were like, you can just write, but they're not going to pay. So I asked them to print me out a list, wrote over 100 schools saying, hey, this is my story. Education's huge. I said, I'm trying to just better myself. I said, obviously I'm in prison, so I don't have no money. So I was like, is there any financial assistance or scholarships I can apply for? And out of the 100 schools that I wrote, only one school wrote back. And it was a Christian school. It was Global University. And they said, we love your story. We'd love to help you out. And so we'll offer you we'll pay for a half of your scholarship, your tuition. And I was like, dang. I said, I'm really about to get my degree in prison. Something I couldn't do for 24 years. And so by me doing that, trust me, this university was probably the hardest one after my master's. No, before my master's. This Christian school, because you had to apply yourself, you had to apply the knowledge of what you learned. You had to apply, and I had to apply certain scenarios, because the only scenarios I had was in my degrees in intercultural studies, so they're asking me how I would communicate to another individual of this background, how would I get this information, and not only that, how would I apply the word of God to their lives without offending them. And it was a blessing because I was in a place where there was different cultures. So that's what I'm trying to allow you guys to see is that God is orchestrating this whole thing. We make our own choices, but God at the end can just He can just turn it how He wants to. He's like, that choice was bad, time. I'm gonna work with it though. Another one time, all right, let me work with it. Sooner or later, you got to start making these good choices so I don't have to keep on working around it. And it's amazing on how, by me doing that, I was able to start going out and actually start talking to individuals a little bit more, understanding their background, understanding where they're coming from, understanding the struggles that they have and the reasons on why they wouldn't believe in Christ. And so by me doing that stuff, I was able to build deep relationships, but it wasn't just from me just saying like, man, look, this is what you need to learn, because everyone in there, they heard these stories, and majority of these people treat God like Santa Claus. They try God, and if they don't get what they want, God's not real. And so I realized that, and so I would closely let them see just the way God is working in my life in this horrible place, because we're all in the same area, the same place. But then also allow them to see the joy that I have every single day. And then time comes, and I'm trying to fast track it for the sake of time. Time comes to by me doing all these things, I can finally give my mom a call and say, hey mom, I'm about to go to parole soon. I was supposed to be in prison till 2029, and then when I missed this part, when I went to prison, they messed up my time, and then they said, the earliest you can go home is 2031. Obviously, my mom got the bulk of that too. She's like, it's all right, Ty, you'll be good. I said, what's up with this? You will be good, and I'm getting mad at God, like, man. But, like I said, by me I earned my bachelor's degree, and then obviously I did the same thing to earn my master's. And that cut off a lot of time. And then in October, they said, October 2022, they said, 2021. Yeah, October 2021, they said I was going to have a chance to go in front of the parole board in May. And I said, crazy, 15 to life. And then someone came up to me, they're like, how in the world that happened? Like, who are you telling on? I said, I didn't tell on no one. And then they're like, that, well, it doesn't even matter, because if you have 15 to life, man, you're not going home on your first trial when you go to the parole board. You're going to get denied either 3 or 5 years. They want you to do 15 years straight for sure. I'm 8 years in, and I'm like, Mom, I'm going to have all this stuff. I was like, I'm going to have a chance to come home. And so trusting God. I'm like, dang, God, I'm really seeing you work. Like, dang, you're really above this whole situation. And then we get close to May, and they push me back, reschedule me. I said, my hearing's canceled. I said, God, you about to give me like McDonald's that I want, that I haven't had for years, and then you take that away. I said, no. I'm like, what is this? And so obviously these are all these little tests, but then I'm like, all right, God, everything happens for a reason. I don't find out that my parole thing gets rescheduled another 6 months, because if it gets canceled, you get scheduled another 6 months because you have life at the end of the sentence. So we can just keep you here as long as we want. Whenever we want to see you, we can see you. You're just lucky that you're able to. You should be grateful that you're going this early, and that's how it happened. So I was kind of bummed about it, but obviously by that time I earned my MA in organizational leadership, and I was valedictorian. Who me? Who knew? I'm not the smart one in my family, but I was valedictorian in prison, so. So I go up there and I'm able to. I have my own little robe. I got the little carrying a little stash and smiling and all that. And so it was a beautiful thing, because I never would have applied myself. Because like I told you, I just attached myself to football. I never knew all these things I would be able to accomplish if I just tried. And this is something I feel like God just seen me all along. He was like, man, I'm going to show you just the little stuff that you can do. And so I was able to give a speech. I was able to create a website while I was incarcerated, just on pen and paper. And then my time came up for the parole board. It was December 1st, 2022. So talk about interviews. It's an interview for your life. So I'm like, everyone's saying like, you're not, look, just expect not to get denied. Expect to get denied, and then you'll be all right. You get a 3-year denial, you can go home probably in 2 years. And I'm like, well, I did everything I possibly can. And I was like, God's the overall judge on my time. And so I go in front of the parole board, and they read everything that I did, and they're just like, Mr. Thompson, we have never seen anyone like you. We understand that what you did was horrible. I said, but you applied yourself every single day. And we understand that that's not you anymore. And it was crazy because I really thought I never was going to come home. Like I said, it's just emotional for me to be right here. I had like I put on the front to say like, help my mom get through it, my family, like, hey, like I'm good. But seriously, I never thought I was gonna come home. And when they said like, man, we found you suitable, I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, dang, God. I said, you really did that. I had a sentence that everyone says that you don't come home from. I'm coming home half my time. Not only that, my life is way better than what it was. And he just did that within 9 years. I'm like, man, I should have gave you my life at earliest chance possible. Because not only that, I'm happy. And so another 6 months go by, and you have to wait 5 months, and the governor has a decision to either write off or not. And of course, me on this crazy journey, it gets close to me coming home. Josiah, he knows, yeah. They hit me with this thing called an embankment, meaning that he wants the full board. He wants all the board members. I think there's 12 or 15 to grant my parole release. And so I had to wait another 30 days. And I'm like, God, I can't catch a break. But in all actuality, I am catching a break. And so stuff happens. My family, everyone here, man, just the prayers that was able to aid me through being in prison without getting in trouble. Avoiding, man, I can at least, 5 riots. And not getting in trouble at all. And being able to stand here in front of you guys, man, it's all God. And just you guys having faith in God, praying for me, means the world to me. And I'm here to be able to stand in front of you guys and share my testimony of a person that wasn't supposed to be out. Not only that, like, if you guys see the car crash, it's all over the news. There's no way I should have survived. Just come out a little cut. But the thing that I'm just saying is that, man, God has something so wonderful in store for us. But we don't ever want to tap in. We just want to do our own. We want to do our own things. And it's simple. God just ain't love me, man. He said, look, whatever you do, man, it's always going to fall short. And Romans 3:23, it tells us. But, man, you just accept my son. I love you so much. I sent my son. Just all your blemishes, everything all the bad things that you do, I'm going to wipe it clean. And my son's going to take you to that place because I love you so much. And not only that, watch how much your life changes. And I'm not saying like everything changes like for the better. But I'm saying the joy that you have, like the joy, I never felt this joy, man. And it breaks my heart that I lived 24 lives, a selfish life. And within the 9 years of me being in the worst and dark place, I had the most joy. Why couldn't I do that earlier? But we have such a loving and merciful God. Mercy, he's just. I had to do something. I did what I did. There had to be I had to be reprimanded for what I did. But God was so just that he said, man, I'm gonna allow you to come home. And not only that, I'm gonna show you I'm bigger than the law. I'm bigger than the justice system that you think it is. Just by me just saying, God, I'm gonna trust you. And so whatever dark time that you're going through that you think you can't get through and you have to use your own understanding or own knowledge, don't. Trust God. I never thought I would come home from a 15 to life sentence. I came home from a 15 to life sentence, 8 years, 9 months, able to hug my mom. Hug my grandma. Yeah, I used to get, that stuff was scary. I would always think I would lose someone when I was in there. Everyone's still here. God is good. I wish I never had to take someone's life to experience his love, but I'm so grateful that he gave me an opportunity. Like I'm able to be with my nephews. Be with my sisters. It's crazy. But I'm telling you guys, man, and it all started just with that one decision. And like, I don't know about how you guys are, but shoot, I was trying to run away from everything. Like I said, I tried to take my life. And by me just trying to take my life, God still was there. God still was there. So no matter what you're going through, understand God's there. God's right there. Shoot, I believe everyone, if they don't know Christ, still God has a great plan for them. If they're still grieving, they just got to be. Shoot, I'm laying on the dirtiest floor, man. I accepted Christ on the dirtiest and nastiest, disgusting rats running around, free break Freddy, that's what they call them. But in that dungeon, that's where I found light. And so, as I just leave you guys here today, I'm gonna close with just with this verse, man. And everyone knows it, but these verses hit a lot more with me. It's 1 James. James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. And it just says right here, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kind, because you know the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be matured and complete and not lacking nothing. That's why I didn't come home right when I accepted Christ. Right. That's why I had to go through this journey, and I'm still on this journey of these struggles, because God is still working, and God is always going to be working, and God is always going to be loving in our lives. But we have to make that decision, the most crucial decision that anyone can make in their life, is to accept Jesus Christ as their personal Savior. Without that, you're going to just keep on trying and try to find something else to fulfill that void. So from the bottom of my heart, anyone that doesn't have Christ, I ask you just to consider it. So what do you got to lose? So Like I said, I gained everything in the worst place possible to our standards. And now I'm here, man. I'm here to be able to share my story. Not only that, ask God to use me wherever I'm out there helping the homeless. Obviously, I see the pain that they're going through, using drugs every single day. But I understand, I'm like, God, just sooner or later, these people mean just as much. If these people mean that much to you, they're going to mean that much to me. And my journey is not easy. I can't drive for a year, but I'm grateful that I can drive. I'll be able to drive someday. So I'm taking a bus. I never would take the bus, but I'm meeting all these people, and I'm just smiling at them. And then when I got out, a lot of you guys don't know, if you guys don't, I had an ankle monitor, so I looked like a dog on a leash. But I trust God. I trust God. And He's just guiding me the whole way. Shoot, like I said, I wish I could come out here all the time. Obviously, it's kind of hard, and I'm right in the smack dab of Skid Row. But I'm grateful every single day. Grateful. And just sometimes I get out. it's bad too because I do it. I'm sorry to go over a little bit. And this is like a little sidetrack. So I'm in Skid Row, and if you guys been to Skid Row, it stinks. So I go out because I like to get out. I work from 3 to 11. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go work out. And I'm like, I get myself ready mentally. I'm on the 8th floor, so I don't. And so right when I get out, I forget my mask, and I'm like, oh. So I throw up because it smells so bad because they pee everywhere. But then I have to tell myself, God, thank you for allowing me to at least smell this. Man, and it's just amazing, man. Every single second I'm able to just, like, when I got here today, I'm just shaking you guys' hand and hugging you guys. Like, thank you. And God, thank you. I wasn't supposed to be here. I was supposed to be dead. And not only that, I wasn't supposed to get out of prison. Thank you. I said, I know I'm not there yet, but continue to lead me to the promised land. I'm just going to continue to glorify you. It's very simple, man. Love your God. Love your God, love your neighbor. Everything else falls into place. But you can't have none of this unless you have His Son. A simple gift that He gave you, man, and it's free. Just like me giving a smile to these people is free, that's even freer, man. It's just between you and God. And He loves you. So that's my story. I'm going to kind of close out right now. Sorry for all the tears, but I really appreciate you guys just listening. All right, everyone got their head.